Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General here. Thanks for being here. I appreciate your presence. I want to take this opportunity to announce the latest lawsuit that I'm leading alongside 7 Democratic attorneys general against the Trump administration after it unlawfully terminated education grants for California and for other states across the nation. Grants that in California total, by our estimation, $148 million. And between all states represented in this lawsuit, total at least $250 million. So across the plaintiff states in this case. For those who've lost count, this is now the 6th time we've been forced to sue the president since his term began just over 6 weeks ago. Disheartening and disappointing, yes, but not at all surprising, unfortunately. Before I get into the details of today's case, I want to welcome the folks standing with me here today. You'll hear from almost all of them. Dr. Shireen Pari, Assistant Vice Chancellor of Educator and Leadership Programs at California State University. Dr. A.D. Williams, Principal Investigator and Program Director at California State University, Los Angeles. And Jonathan Zay, a teacher in training. We also have with us Esperanza Acosta. So you'll hear from them in a moment. And as I mentioned, I'm not the sole Attorney General on this lawsuit. Today's action is the result of a great collaboration with my fellow Attorneys General, a process we often engage in, working together, teaming up when we have issues of common interest in enforcing the rule of law and upholding the Constitution. We are joined by the following additional states: Massachusetts, New Jersey, Colorado, Illinois, Maryland, New York, and Wisconsin. This case is also the result of the hard work, late nights, and leadership of the public servants in California DOJ's Civil Rights Enforcement Section. I'm endlessly grateful for their commitment to serving the 39 million Californians who rely on us. So let's talk about the lawsuit. Since February 7th, the U.S. Department of Education has terminated at least $600 million in nationwide funding for programs that prepare and train K-12 teachers to enter our schools and teach our students. As I said, we're talking about more than $140 million in grants for California alone, for our state, funds that have already been allocated by Congress. Congress has decided this already, and they've been awarded and they've been obligated through the Teacher Quality Partnership Grant Program and the Supporting Effective Educator Development Grant Program. So Congress has appropriated the funding. It went through a grant process. The awards were made. They were obligated. They were committed to California and the other states who are suing today. These are grants that our state's counting on to train and prepare qualified educators. Funds that are critical to addressing our state and nation's teacher shortage crisis. Funds that are critical to getting teachers into rural schools, into urban schools, and into hard-to-fill positions, teaching math, teaching science, teaching special education. Funds that improve the quality of education for our children, our kids, and create more career opportunities for Californians. Funds for programs that increase teacher retention rates and give teachers the support they need to pursue longer careers, to keep teaching and keep educating the next generation of young people. Funds that make it possible for hundreds of California teachers to afford to earn their degree and credentials each year, that provide stipends so aspiring teachers can focus on how to be a teacher without needing to get a second job or go into debt to support what's a truly selfless career. Terminating these grants hurts aspiring teachers and the K-12 schools that rely on this federal funding to bring teachers into their classrooms. These terminations also hurt the University of California and California State University systems, which were granted $56 million, some of which has already been spent. With these terminations, UC and CSU would lose the remaining $40 million over the next 5 years, $8 million of which they had earmarked to use between now and September to make sure K-12 schools have the teachers they need come fall. The universities would have to look to layoffs, reduced hours for university staff, and reduced or eliminated support and funding for aspiring teachers. It's easy to get lost in that bigger picture, so I want to drill deep, make this tangible, get into some of the details for a minute, because these cuts will have an impact on real individuals, real people in our state. On the list of terminated grants is a $7.5 million grant for Cal State Los Angeles that supports training and certifying approximately 276 teachers and educators who are focused on special education, high school STEM, and bilingual education in the Los Angeles and Pasadena Unified School Districts. Another is a $2.4 million 5-year grant for Chico State. This grant addresses a chronic and acute shortage of teachers in rural northeastern California by encouraging local students to become teachers in their own communities. If cut, approximately 225 undergrad and master's students and credential candidates enrolled in the program would no longer receive training. Another is a $2.2 million 5-year grant for Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. This program provides living wage stipends for participants that agree to teach for 3 years in one of 32 high-need schools in the area that serve nearly 40,000 pre-K to 12th grade students, aspiring teachers who are focused on bilingual education and special education. Terminating these education grants will clog the pipeline of passionate, qualified, good teachers from entering our classrooms. It'll squash aspiring teachers' dreams, individuals who feel called to this work, who want to do this work, who've been working toward and dreaming of this career for years. And it will yank teachers out of schools and away from kids who deserve every investment in their education, in their future. Terminating these education grants is a clear violation of the Administrative Procedure Act, as we've set forth in our complaint, which is why we're suing the Trump administration and we're seeking a temporary restraining order to prevent further disruptions, meaning we are asking the court to immediately halt these cuts and require that this funding continues to flow into California and the other states who have brought suit. These cuts could not come at a worse time as our schools face a serious teacher shortage crisis. Just last year, 40,000 teacher positions across the U.S. were vacant or filled by uncertified teachers. That's about 1 in 8 of all teaching positions nationwide. Teacher shortages mean larger class sizes, canceled courses, and teachers taking on subjects that aren't their specialty, who are doing the best they can in a very difficult situation. Trump's plan will only make these problems worse by immediately cutting the number of teachers and teacher trainees in schools and impacting a pipeline of new teachers for years to come. Sadly, the people Trump's hurting most of all are our kids. Kids in rural areas, kids in urban areas, kids in high poverty communities and high need schools, kids who need and deserve extra support and additional resources. Kids just trying to learn math and just trying to learn science. That's who Trump is hurting with this action. While Trump and Elon Musk may tout these cuts to programs, cuts of entire agencies, as a cost savings, and let's be real, that's a stretch at best given the amount of funds that are at issue here. We have to ask ourselves, what will the long-term cost be to our nation? The answer is tremendous. In 2022, out of 37 developed nations, American students ranked 28th in math and 12th in science. Those numbers don't stand a chance of improving without qualified teachers in the classroom. How can we as a nation expect to lead the world's technological and scientific developments when we're falling behind in basic geometry and biology? When we turn our backs on aspiring teachers who want nothing more than to educate our kids, who want to be in the classroom helping our kids. If we do away with a department devoted to ensuring every kid in America can go to school. President Trump can shout and scream America first all he wants, but his anti-education agenda will only ensure we come in dead last. As Attorney General, as a father, as someone who cares about the trajectory of our state, of our nation, I can't sit back while the president attempts to pull the rug out from under aspiring teachers and kicks our kids' futures to the curb. I won't sit back while he violates the law, undermines Congress's responsibility, and fails to make good on federal financial obligations. So, I will see the Trump administration in court again. This may be the latest lawsuit. Unfortunately, I doubt it will be the last. We don't expect the president's barrage of unlawful, chaotic, and disruptive executive orders and actions to slow down, which means neither will our work ahead. Fortunately, I know we'll be able to weather the storm because of the dedication and tenacity of the folks on our teams. Before I open it up for questions, I want to shout out the folks at DOJ who made today's action possible. Alexis Piazza, Heidi Joya, Garrett Lindsay, Laura Fair, Maureen Onyebako, Dennis Oho, Michael Newman, Damon Brown, Christina Bull-Arndt. We have a great team at DOJ fighting important fights on behalf of Californians, making sure that rule of law is upheld and that the investments from the federal government that are committed and should be flowing to us under the law actually make it and come to California. We will continue to push and continue to hold this presidential administration accountable to following the law. Not a lot to ask, but we are going to continue to push on that. I'll be back for questions, but please allow me to introduce the other speakers here today, starting with Dr. Shireen Pari.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. The California State University is a key partner in preparing the state's educator workforce. We prepare 50% of the state's teachers, and 1 out of 25 teachers across the country is a CSU graduate. As you know, there are chronic teacher shortages in our state and across the nation, and just this year, in 24-25, the state of California needed to hire 25,000 teachers to fill the vacancies that existed across schools in our state. We are devastated by the termination of the Teacher Quality Partnership and the supporting Effective Educator Development, or SEED, grants that were appropriated by the U.S. Congress to support the preparation of highly qualified teacher workforce. These grants have greatly assisted our CSU campuses in recruiting teacher candidates, in funding their schooling, and in graduating highly prepared teachers to serve all young people in the state, especially in areas of particular teacher shortage, including the science, technology, and math, STEM areas, our special education and bilingual education areas. These grants have also focused on serving high poverty and underserved regions of the state, both urban and rural, that have fewer highly qualified teachers. The sudden termination of this funding pulls the financial and academic support from students who are currently enrolled in these teacher preparation programs. It negatively impacts the infrastructure that we have carefully built over the years to support our teacher preparation programs. And more importantly, the grant cancellations will result in fewer highly qualified teachers for our schools and students and increase teacher shortages across the state. So now I'd like to introduce you to our faculty professor, Dr. A.D. Williams from Cal State LA, professor in education. Thanks, A.D.
Good afternoon, y'all, and thank you for being here today. You know, this is a tough moment for everyone who cares about our kids and their future. The cancellation of these grants isn't just a policy change. It's a betrayal of our students, our teachers, and our communities. Here's why that matters to you. Teachers leave the profession because they're underprepared, overwhelmed, or feel alone and unsupported. Over the last 15 years, we've found solutions through teacher residency programs that are now being cut. Here's how they work. We place resident teachers in a classroom with an expert mentor teacher for a full year. By the time that they have their own classrooms the following year with your children, they're ready on day one. Day one, they hit the ground running. They know what they're doing. They're confident and they're supported, and that's why they succeed. We've evolved. We're not just helping classrooms now, we're transforming whole communities. Our residents work with local community-based organizations to understand who these kids are outside of school so that they can better serve them inside the classroom. This isn't just theory. This is working right now. This is action. The hardest areas to staff, STEM, special education, bilingual education, our teachers are thriving. Why? Because they are prepared. They're supported, and they're connected to the communities in which they serve. There are teachers who stay. These are teachers who stay after 5 years, when so many others leave the profession entirely. These are teachers that your kids deserve. This isn't a game. This isn't about politics. This is about your kids having access to the best, most well-prepared teachers in their classrooms. Your kids deserve better, and this is why we're fighting to make sure that they get it. I appreciate your time. I'm going to introduce Jonathan C.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming today. Yes, my name is Jonathan Z. I am currently a resident in the Los Angeles Urban Teaching Residency Program with Dr. Williams as part of Cal State LA's continued effort to make sure that me as a teacher, teachers before me, and teachers after me can continue to teach not only the students that are in the schools right now, but the students in the future to the best of our ability. This is only possible if we have the funding needed. Without the TQP grant, I certainly would not have been able to take the jump from what I was doing before, which was a pharmacy route, to teaching. It is no surprise that the financials behind being a pharmacist is far greater than the financials of being a teacher, but I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the children. They're not just students, I consider them my students. The importance of being in a program such as this is that I am with these students from the beginning of the year to the end of the year with a very qualified mentor teacher. He has been teaching in the sciences for 17 years. I have learned more from him than I could have from any sort of book, because when you are a teacher, you learn from doing. There's a saying I hear all the time, which is you get out what you put in. But I am not a endless well of resources. I need to have the support of Dr. Williams. I need to have the support of the grants that are allowing me to pursue what ends up being my profession and my passion. And I need the support of our government. I need the support of not just the American politicians. I need the support of the American people. We need the support, the hearts of everybody. We cannot change and adapt the future without help. So I firmly believe that LAUTR and all these other teacher residency programs are essential to ensuring not only qualified teachers now, but qualified teachers for all the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just end by saying that when you have a challenge like a teacher shortage crisis, it is appropriate for government to respond and to invest in ways to address that challenge head on, invest in teacher training programs, and invest in resources to help alleviate the crisis and put high qualified teachers in schools teaching kids who need it. And this is a program that works. And in seeking to unlawfully end these grants, the Trump administration is turning his back on teachers and on children, and we won't let him break the law and hurt teachers and children as he's trying to do. So thank you for being here. I'm happy to open up to any questions you might have.